Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into some really powerful life-changing ideas from Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. Now, think about this for a second. What if I told you that getting rich has almost nothing to do with how smart you are?
So, let's just jump right in. What's the single biggest thing that stops most people from actually building wealth? It's a question we all wrestle with, and trust me, the answer is not what you'd expect.
And there it is, straight from Housel. The answer is surprisingly simple. It's not about IQ points or how clever you are, it's about ignorance. But specifically, our ignorance about our own behavior when it comes to money.
You know, for years, we've been sold this idea that you need a fancy degree or some secret Wall Street code to get rich. But Morgan Housel just throws that whole idea out the window.
Here's the core insight, the thing that changes everything. Financial success isn't about what you know, it's all about how you behave. We get so caught up chasing secret formulas and fancy jargon when what really moves the needle is stuff like patience and just not constantly measuring yourself against everyone else. I mean, that's why some genius with a Harvard MBA can go totally broke, while a regular person with a few simple, steady habits can end up a millionaire.
And that leads us to the biggest trap of all, using money as a scorecard to see how we stack up against other people. And let's be real, in today's world, that game is more dangerous than ever. Social media is literally engineered to dangle someone in front of you who seems richer, happier, and more successful, and it just pulls you onto this treadmill you can never get off of.
Housel tells this absolutely fantastic story from his college days that just nails this point. He was working as a valet at a super fancy hotel, and every single day he's seeing these unbelievable cars roll in.
And of course, being a 19-year-old kid, he was just completely blown away by the cars themselves. I mean, who wouldn't be?
But here's the twist. He had this sudden realization that changed how he saw money forever. He realized he never once, not a single time, looked at the person driving the Ferrari and thought, wow, that guy is so cool. His admiration was only for the car.
Instead, what was he actually doing? He was picturing himself driving that car, and he was thinking about how impressed everyone else would be with him. And that was the big aha moment. We don't really admire the person with the nice stuff, we just use their stuff to imagine how much people would admire us.
And this just perfectly sums up the lesson, doesn't it? Nobody is thinking about you or your car or your house nearly as much as you are. We're out here buying all this impressive stuff to get respect from people who are way too busy thinking about themselves to even notice.
Okay, so if trying to impress other people is a game you literally can't win, what are we really doing when we chase more and more money? Well, this gets us into this idea of the unending treadmill.
This brings us to what might be the single hardest skill in all of finance, learning how to get the goalpost to just stop moving. The problem for so many of us is that as soon as our income goes up, our expectations and desires go up even faster. So you take one step forward financially, but the goalpost just jumped 2 steps ahead. You constantly feel like you're falling behind.
And that forces us to ask a much, much deeper question. What psychological hole are you actually trying to fill with money? Because look, money can solve a lot of problems, for sure, but it almost never solves the big ones, like feeling a need for validation or finding a real sense of self-worth.
So how do we get off this treadmill? Well, it takes a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's all about understanding the incredible power of the word enough and realizing the massive difference between being rich and being wealthy. And this distinction is so simple but so profound. Being rich is having a big paycheck so you can buy nice things. It's visible, you can see it. But being wealthy, that's what you don't see. It's the money you haven't spent. It's the assets that buy you control over your own time. In one word, it's independence.
Let's break it down even more. Being rich is buying that flashy car to impress strangers. Being wealthy is having the freedom to just take a year off from work if you want to. See, rich is measured by how much you spend. Wealthy is measured by how much independence you have. One is a show for other people. The other is about sleeping well at night because you control your own life.
And history gives us this perfect, kind of tragic cautionary tale. The Vanderbilts. Cornelius Vanderbilt was the richest man on the planet. But his heirs, who inherited billions, they were described as being just universally miserable. They were incredibly rich, sure, but they had no purpose, no skills. They were basically trapped by their own money. They had riches but zero independence. And today, that huge fortune is pretty much all gone.
Okay, so if the real goal is wealth, and we're now defining that as independence, how do we get there?
Well, the path is actually way, way simpler than you've been led to believe. You don't need complicated formulas or to understand Wall Street jargon. It really just comes down to what Housel calls kindergarten-level behaviors. Number 1, live a little bit below your means. Create that gap. 2, save the difference. 3, invest it consistently. And 4, and this is the hardest one, but it's the most important, just be patient.
And if you want to understand the mind-blowing power of that last step, patience, we have to look at the greatest investor of all time, Warren Buffett. So what in the world does this number, 99%, represent?
Get this, 99%, that's the portion of his net worth that was earned after his 60th birthday. Think about that. It wasn't because he was some genius who had unbelievably high returns. It was because he just let his money compound, uninterrupted, for decades. That proves you don't need extraordinary returns. You just need extraordinary patience.
So how do you actually build that patience? You kind of have to trick yourself into it by making saving a totally unconscious habit. Automate it. Have the money move from your paycheck to your savings before you even see it. Use a simple rule, like saving 10% of everything that comes in. And maybe check your balance daily, just to stay connected to your goals and aware of what's happening.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. How does this help you write a new and much more powerful story for your own financial life?
At the end of the day, it really just boils down to this one question. What are you truly trying to maximize? Are you trying to impress people who honestly aren't even watching? Or are you trying to buy back your own time, your own freedom? Money is just a tool. The real question is, what are you building with it? Because when you decide to start building independence, you finally start playing a game you can actually win.